Greetings and salutations, this is Emperor Vespasian and his trusty sidekick.
Hello.
We're going to be having a quick look at the medic figure and the officer figure you get with the Polish Army box. The officer is quite a nice little figure. He's got the cheese board hat and the gas mask on the back, a box for his papers, and yeah, he's carrying a pistol. This is the medic he's got medic bag and all that sort of stuff, and he's got lots of sash on the arm for his medical credentials, and yeah, that's it. They're quite nice little chaps. Rules wise, the medic is a medic. I don't have to go into explaining that. The officers, however, they're more or less the same price as any other army. Points wise, you get a second lieutenant or a first lieutenant or a captain or a major. You can also, as per usual, have an additional 2 extra soldiers. In fact, I think all the armies have 2 bodyguards or 2 guards for the HQ, 2 adjutants, apart from the Chinese army where you get an additional figure free, which is a bodyguard who comes free, who fights for who defends the officer. So there is a special thing about the Polish army, which is the Polish army has a special rule, which is elite officer class. Polish officers were very highly trained, indoctrinated into the high degrees of nationalism. All Polish HQ units are fanatics, as described on page 70 of the Bolt Action Rulebook. This means that the officer is a fanatic. I'm not sure if that... what that means is he's not going to break his morale. The command unit isn't going to break and run away because they're fanatics. So they will just carry on fighting, even when reduced to just the officer himself. In fact, no, he will have to take a test when he's reduced to the officer himself. When he's lost his 2 guards, he'll have to take another test. But other than that, that's quite cool. I'm not sure whether or not the rule is designed to add to any unit he's accompanying. What do you think?
Well, it could if he was joining another unit.
Yeah, well, that's what officers do. So
yeah.
Maybe if you attach the officer to a unit,
it will make the unit fanatic.
The unit becomes fanatic. Yeah, that's a good one. That I'm not sure about it. I have to think about it. So that's my view on that. Historically, Poland did have a good officer class. Russia had a good officer class until Stalin shot them all. Always a good way of getting rid of good officers, shooting them. The Poles didn't do that. They did have a pretty good officer class which had combat experience. They knew what they were doing. There was a slight problem during the last phases of the war, but by then it was already lost, when men would take their troops into battle for no reason and get them killed, and other officers would run away, try and flee the country in order to go and fight elsewhere, which is what they did. That's how come France ended up with a Polish army fighting for it. Polish troops were stationed in France to fight against the Germans, and they moved to Britain and eventually joined the British Army. Anyway, that's all what happened after. We're talking about the actual war. The Polish part of the war. And yeah, that's it. Questions?
Questions!
Yeah.
How come the HQ consists of observers and mainly like the command, like all the main units in one area?
Well,
because if there's a major assault, they could be all lost in one big assault.
Well, in bolt action, you can put you don't have to put your HQ with your command. You can put your HQ. Yeah, you don't have to put your observers with the command. You can put your observers anywhere you want. The observers. They don't answer directly to command. Usually command gives the observers notes, but usually observers will simply relay what they can see to artillery units So an observer team would be attached to an actual battery.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, or it will be attached to a forward air control unit. The primary job of those is to report how effective the strike was rather than the location of the strike, but that's besides the point. Headquarters also send out observers themselves to find out what's going on. They're the eyes and ears of the army, and the observers spot what's going on and report back to control. HQ, who's this guy, who will decide what to do about what the observers see. Sounds a bit complicated, but that's how it works. But for game mechanic terms, you have two types of observer. You have a forward air controller and you have a forward ordnance observation team. And the two different units will, well, shall we? We'll explain that in detail in the next video, I think. And we'll do a video on the observation team, because this is about the officers and the medics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, next question.
Last question.
Yeah.
Do these command fight along with the men, or fight behind the men, like directing the battle?
Right. Typically, well, it depends what army you're in. If you're in the Chinese,
we're talking about Polish army right now.
Yeah, in the Polish army. If you're in the Chinese army, then high-ranking officers would fight in the front lines. Your second lieutenant is really an adjutant to the first lieutenant. Usually second lieutenants are not sent into battle with soldiers. They're sent into battle with a first lieutenant. So they go hand in glove, and they serve at the front line. They fight at the front line with the soldiers. The lieutenant, they're at the front line with a rifle in their hand or a pistol, and they're fighting, or an SMG if your figure comes equipped with an SMG, you can use that. So your lieutenants are right at the front line. They're actually behind the wall throwing grenades, along with the rest of the men. Your captain also can do that, but usually your captain is directing the four lieutenants under his command. Top of my head, I'm not sure how the Polish army is denominated. I would assume, yeah, so you'd have three lieutenants under a captain's command in the Polish army, and he would have to direct the three lieutenants and basically say, that squad over there, go over there and deal with that. That squad there, go over there and deal with that. And that squad there, you stay in reserve. So that's what his job would be as a captain. Then you get to the rank of major, and he's in charge of captains. Depending on what army you're on, you can technically be a major and do the same job as a captain. I'm not sure about the Polish army. I'm not an expert on the command structure of the Polish army.
You're expert on all the others.
Well, I'm not. And there is so little information about the Polish army. It's not easy researching. So you can find lots of stuff out, but you can't find out the details you can get, say, from the German army, where there's entire books written about the German army command structure. There's entire books written about how the American army worked in the Second World War. Unfortunately, there's also books on how the British army worked, which is embarrassing. And they basically act as the brain of an army. You have to think of an army as a living creature, and the army has tentacles, which is the infantry squads, and it has fists, which is the artillery and stuff like that, and then the anti-tank guns and your actual tanks that can attack tanks. That can drive. An anti-tank gun is a defensive weapon. It fires defensively. Tanks are designed to drive forwards and be able to take on enemy tanks and kill them. And the brain is the officers, the lieutenants, the captains, and the majors who are the brain of the army, the nerves, the nerve fibres that connect the body together to make it fight. That was way over complex, but I know what I meant. Next question?
That's all.
Well, that's it then. That's the end of the video. Over to you.
So, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and comment down below what questions you have about medic and the officer and the command structure. That's everything from me.
And that's everything from him. Good day.
See ya.